Hello, everyone. So it is Tuesday night, 8 p.m., so it's time for another Choose Your Own Adventure book. This one is called Terror Island. It's written by Tony Kultz, and the art is by Ron Wing. So here's the cover, and I'll read the... Oh, and this is Choose Your Own Adventure book 59. I will read the back cover. Hi, Jen. And let's see. So, can you stop the Omicron Masters? You've been marooned on Bounty Island, home of the most sinister corporation on Earth, Omicron. The Omicron Masters have discovered the secrets of mind control and genetic mutation, and they're about to take over the world. It's up to you to stop them, but how will you do it? If you decide to search the Omicron vaults for secret data, turn to page 98. If you decide to hunt down the Omicron leader instead, turn to page 103. Beware! The Omicron Masters are fiends. If they catch you, you could be devoured by mutant rats or frozen in a vat of liquid helium. Or you might find a way to destroy Omicron and save the world. What happens next in the story? It all depends on the choices you make. How does the story end? Only you can find out. And the best part is that you can keep reading and rereading till you've had not one, but many incredibly daring adventures. Hi, Sue. Hi, Stephanie. Hi, Rachel. Okay. And as usual, we have the first page, gives some of the reviews about or on Choose Your Own Adventures. Written by the same kids that it seems like it always has. I don't know if they really updated this all that much as far as like the reviews they were getting from kids. Right. All right, here we are, and there's some art here. Warning: do not read this book straight through from beginning to end. These pages contain many different adventures you may have as you discover the secrets of Terror Island. From time to time, as you read along, you'll be asked to make decisions and choices. Your choices may lead to success or disaster. The adventures you have will be the result of your choices. After you make a choice, follow the instructions to see what happens to you next. Think carefully before you make a move. The dangers on Terror Island threaten the entire planet, and it may be up to you to save us from world destruction. Good luck. This was published originally in August 1986. And it says, "For the real Jonathan, and thanks for all the snakes." Yeah, the 17-year-old reader who has yet to accept the randomness of life. Yep. The successes, are not always great. I mean, but at least you don't get killed. So. You are sailing through the Bly Islands on the 40-foot ketch Starbuck with Bill Sutherland, your father's close friend. The Blys are a chain of islands that sprawl across the corner of the Pacific, just north of New Guinea and just south of the equator. Few people live on them, and those that do keep to themselves. In fact, Bill has warned you that the natives can be downright unfriendly. He claims that some of the islanders have been known to roast visitors for dinner. You don't quite believe him, though. So far, it's been a long, easy cruise with plenty of time to swim, scuba dive, fish, and explore the lush, exotic islands. The Starbuck carries an unusual load of electronic gear. Bill has explained that it is needed for safety. Again, you don't really believe him. Both your father and Bill work for a government agency that they refuse to name. You suspect that they work for an organization like the CIA, and that the electronic equipment Starbuck carries is used to find out what other people want to keep secret. Turn to page 3. Yeah, so this was, most of our books are packed away now. So, flip through the book. I don't want to spoil anything for myself. and know what decisions to make beforehand. So I've kind of flipped through it. Nothing seemed to stand out as being. I mean, it is a book that was published in the mid '80s, so not surprising that there'd be some things in here that are that you wouldn't see published now. So, anyways, and here's the art. It looks nice. Yep. All right. For the last 2 days, the Starbuck has been sailing off the coast of Bounty, the largest of the Blyes, and it hasn't been much fun. Bill has spent all his time with his equipment, safety, and he has ordered you to stay on the boat. Boring. You've spent your time basking on the deck and reading. From time to time you stare at the dark plume of smoke rising above the volcano that towers thousands of feet above the island. You don't know much about volcanoes, but you're sure that this one is dangerous. On the second night, you're anchored off Bounty. A storm arises. You've ridden out other storms on this trip, but none of them has been as fierce as this one. Though you want to help him, Bill orders you to stay below and catch some sleep. But the screaming winds and the crashing waves toss and shake the little boat, making sleep impossible. You put on your clothes and climb up on deck. Bill looks worried. The storm is worsening. Streaks of lightning spotlight the island's barrier reef. It's close, much too close. "This is a rough one," Bill shouts above the noise of the wind and the waves. "But Starbuck's a sturdy old tub. We'll do just fine." That's when the explosion hits. "A mine!" Bill screams. "We must have struck an Omicron mine." You don't have a chance to ask what an Omicron is, because at that moment the boat lurches and staggers and crashes into the reef. You are flung out above the coral. Then you plunge deep into the surging water of the lagoon. Oh yeah, they keep talking about Starbuck. I don't even know, did Starbucks exist in 1986? Maybe they had like one store. I don't know when Starbucks started. All right. You struggle, fighting your way toward what you hope is the surface. Finally, your hand feels air. Your face breaks above the water. And you can't breathe. And you can breathe. The waves lash your eyes and cheeks, but now you know you have a chance. If only you can find something to hold on to, something that will support you. You swivel your head around. The boat is about 30 feet away, pinned between two coral crags. And several hundred yards in the other direction, the volcano looms ominously. Then you come upon what you are searching for, a large piece of wood, probably a spar from the boat. You cling to it, grateful to be floating. Only a few feet away an arm waves, but very weakly. It's Bill. You kick yourself and the spar over to him, and he grabs at it. He's been hurt and obviously needs help, so you reach over and clutch his shirt. He's losing consciousness, you can tell, but he still can manage a few chilling words. "Stop Omicron," he whispers. "They want to take over everything. Remember, stop the Omicron masters." And then he's unconscious. You look around again and close your Apple software update. No, you don't say that. You can probably make it to the boat with Bill, you tell yourself. But what if the storm breaks up the Starbuck? Maybe you and Bill should try to make ashore. Then again, the shore is a long way off, and Bill isn't going to be doing much swimming. So if you want to try to reach shore, turn to page 30. If you try to swim to the boat, turn to page 18. Yeah, pretty much all volcanoes would loom in an ominous way. Oh, it was the coffee connection in Massachusetts. Oh, that's right. They did invent the Frappuccino. Forgot about that. Omicron becomes Apple. So, go to shore? Anyone else think we should go to shore? Yeah, shore. Okay, let's go to shore. Somehow or other you reach the shore, more because the waves carry you and Bill there than through your own efforts. There's no beach here, only a high black wall of cliffs. But fortunately the surf drags you into a cave hollowed out by the sea. There's a ledge a couple of feet above the water. You lift first Bill, then yourself onto it. Next you collapse into sleep. When you wake, it is morning. Lifting your head, you can see blue sky and calm seas outside the cave mouth. Behind you, in the dark at the back of the cave, stones rattle. The clatter grows louder. Is it Bill, you wonder? You glance over to where you left him. No, he's still sleeping. Something shuffles towards you along the cave floor. Wild animals? That would be all you need. But it's a man who emerges from the shadows. Bill, you whisper urgently. Wake up! Bill stirs a little. Bill, please, somebody's coming. At that, he opens his eyes and looks alert. But when he tries to sit up, he winces. Nuts, he mutters. Omicron is onto us already. You turn to face the stranger. It was only a few feet away now. He is an immense-bellied, flabby-faced man in an old, rumpled gray suit, a wide-brimmed hat of more or less the same color, a white shirt stained with grease, and an unknotted tie. He wipes at his sweaty face with a handkerchief that's almost as big as a bath towel. Bill groans as he recognizes the man. Oh no! Viktorov! Turn to page 62. What's this? One of these pages has like some numbers on it. Okay. That's pretty random. Volkarov. What was the guy's name? Viktorov. Okay. Time for Pad 8. His flabby face. Yes, that's what the cave symbolizes. Yes. Knowledge and knowledge of the goddess. That's probably what it looks like. It almost does look maybe this was my book that I had in 1986 and I got rid of it. Alright, page 62. Does kind of look like my handwriting in 1986. Oh, well, it went way past page 62. Yes, this is I, Viktorov, says the man with the wide smile. Arkady Semyonovich Viktorov, full KGB colonel. Greetings, comrade Bill Sutherland, and welcome. But I feel like we've met this guy before. That name sounds really familiar. It's like, how many? Yeah. Well, we'll see. How did you get here? Bill asks. And how did you find us? I have electronics that hear your electronics, da? And then I see your little boat strike Omicron mine in the storm. And in the morning, I climb down chimney and mountain, like Father Christmas, to this cave. Very hard climb, maybe 500 meters. But I want to see you. We have worked together many times before. It would be good to work with you again. Viktorov, Bill says, you know that's not true. We've worked against each other many times before. Is true, Viktorov says sadly, with a little flutter of his hands. But still now we must work together, Comrade Bill, for the sake of both of our peoples, okay? Keep talking. Okay. But first, please introduce your companion. Bill tells him who you are. Ah, good, Viktorov says warmly. I am honored. I know well your father. We have worked together often. Bill gives him a cold look. So, you are here on this island for looking at Omicron, yet? And so maybe you hope to do something about Omicron. Maybe put stop to them. I wish this too. Go on to the next page. What is Omicron, you ask? Capitalist corporation, Viktorov says. Filthy evil, like all capitalist corporations. But worse. Much, much worse. That's partly true, Bill adds, interrupting, and again winces from pain. Omicron's a big company that's into computers, space exploration, electronics, all very high tech. But it's not like the big corporations we knew. Omicron is more like the Nazis and Hitler. They want to take over the world, and this island is the base they want to start from. That sounds scary, you say. That's like biggest understatement ever. I, Viktorov, KGB colonel, am scared too, Viktorov says. And I will tell you more. Omicron now does mind control. You understand? They put helmets on people. Helmets receive electronic signals. Signals tell people with helmets what to do. People become slaves. You glance at Bill, who nods grimly. Don Conrad. Yeah, sorry. I don't. Yeah, he's like, he should be able to still speak in, if he understands English, he should be able to speak in full sentences. Duh, comrade, and yeah, that's probably the extent of this person's knowledge of Russian, whoever wrote this. Yeah, so this is where the slave tigers come in. Alright, so turn to page 87. Oh boy. Omicron also does genetic engineering, Viktorov continues. They change genes and DNA, make new creatures. Some of them are monsters. Omicron puts helmets on some of these. They make slave armies of animals and monsters. It's terrible, da? You tell me, Comrade Bill. We stop them together. I have way to attack Marcus, leader of the Omicron Masters, where he is weak. Come with me, Comrade Bill. Afraid I can't, he says. You can see he is in great pain. Something's very wrong with my hip, he continues. Some other things are out of whack, too. I'll live, but I'm not of much use. I understand, Viktorov says sadly. Tell me about this man Marcus, Bill says. We know nothing at all about him. We know more. Very mysterious guy is this one. Very suspicious. It is so very unhappy thing that you are wounded, he says to Bill. You are one of the best. And then he brightens and points at you. Comrade! Me, you say? Da, you will come with me? You look at Bill, but he does not look back. His pain seems to be all he is aware of. Maybe you should go with Viktorov. On the other hand, it might make more sense to stay and take care of Bill and find out what his plans are. It is so very unhappy thing, yeah. Viktorov. I feel like we've met Viktorov before. Alright, so if we should decide to work with Viktorov, turn to page 14. If we decide that we want to stay with Bill, turn to page 24. Kind of want to go with Viktorov, not gonna lie, but, you know. Leave Bill. Sorry, Bill. I know the pain's intense, but it'll soon be over. If you put a pillow to Bill's face to end his suffering, turn to page 94. Stay with Russian Tarzan? Yeah. Yeah, Bill's of no use. Let's go with Viktorov. Can call us comrade and stuff. Say da and yet. I'm down with that. Okay, Mr. Viktorov, you say. I'll help you, but I'm worried about Bill. He looks hurt bad, Viktorov says. But it is best for him, I think, for us to try to do something about the Omicron menace. Or else we'll all be in worse soup than him, yet. Worse soup than him? Is that a Russian expression? I suppose so, you say. So what can we do? Try to make comfortable your friend, Viktorov says. Then we climb back up chimney. At nightfall we meet Carlos. This man is an Omicron master who has become my agent. He works for me against the other masters. Maybe. You don't trust him? I trust nobody, but I can use this one. He is director of security for Omicron, sort of like chief of their FBI. You nod, filing away this information, and with Viktorov's help you ease Bill into a fairly comfortable position. Then you and the Russian climb up the chimney into the mountains. By late that night, you're in the large, formal garden that surrounds the mansion where the Omicron masters live. Viktorov bends over, searching for something behind a marble bench. Ah, good, he whispers. It is here. He proudly displays an empty can of ginger ale. This is signed Carlos leave for me if anything is okay. If everything is okay. He crumples up the can and returns it to its place behind the bench. This is called tradecraft, he says. Spies leave messages this way for other spies. Now we hide and wait. Here we go. Yeah, so this obviously was back, when, like, we had, like, the Soviet Union and the USSR, and they were, like, still our, like, enemies or something, so having a Russian KGB agent with you was, like, all like, oh, can you trust this guy? Like, he's dangerous, or something like that, so. Yeah. Ginger ale is a spy message. Yeah, ginger ale is a spy message, obviously. That's how spies communicate with each other, through ginger ale. Viktorov shuffles behind a group of bushes and sits down heavily on the ground. You follow him. Before long, you hear a rustle in the garden, not far from where you and Viktorov are hiding. Viktorov raises a hand in warning. Keep very still, he murmurs. Then another man's voice calls, Red October! Ah, good, Viktorov whispers. That is code word. Now I answer. He calls out, Finland Station. Then he lurches to his feet and proceeds towards Carlos. Carlos turns out to be a wiry, sharp-featured little man with hair slicked back over his head and a pencil-thin mustache. Hello, Arkady, my friend, he says in a high-pitched voice. And who is it that you've brought with you? This is my new colleague, Viktorov says. Very smart and reliable person. Delighted to have you aboard, Carlos says. Now we do business, Viktorov says. You claim you know this man Marcus's weakness. I want to know that. It's simple. Marcus is not easy to approach. He is exceedingly suspicious, and his defenses are superb. Few even know where in the mansion he keeps his apartments. Go on to the next page. But he does have a weakness, Carlos continues. Marcus has a mother who is old and infirm. Most of the time she spends in bed. Marcus is amazingly attached to the old lady. So if somebody could take her hostage, Marcus could do that person's bidding like a well-trained spaniel. And you want us to kidnap her? Viktorov sounds cautious. Why, yes. That's more or less what I have in mind. Actually, your friend need not go with you. It is risky, after all. Then Carlos addresses you. Please, if you'd like, stay with me. I imagine you're very hungry. Viktorov turns to you. It is up to you, he says. Yeah, kidnapping his mom doesn't sound like a great idea. I don't know about that. But if we decide to attempt to take Marcus's old, infirm mother hostage, turn to page 31. If we would rather play it safe and stay with Carlos, turn to page 82. Yeah, so I guess we're saying goodbye to Viktorov then. Unless anybody thinks we should kidnap his old mother that's bedridden. No? Okay. That's what I thought. Page 82. Let's not be chaotic evil. Alright, we'll just be lawful evil then. I'm evil, but I do follow a code, so, you know. Alright. I am hungry, you tell Carlos. I'd like to stay with you. You are not too enthusiastic about undertaking Viktorov's mission. The three of you enter the mansion, and Carlos explains to Viktorov how to reach Marcus's mother. Then he leads you into one of the kitchens and points out a refrigerator. Rustle yourself up something to eat, he says, while I go help Viktorov take care of Marcus. You find some roast beef and potato salad. You are just about finished when the door bursts open, and helmeted Omicron guards rush in with weapons leveled. Soon Carlos follows. A huge smile covers his face. Viktorov, with his hands bound behind his back, brings up the rear. Comrade Viktorov was mistaken about me, Carlos announces. I will always remain loyal to Omicron. As for the two of you, well, I have the perfect solution. We have built an athletic stadium for the enjoyment of our workers. You both will be, as it were, a circus act. Tomorrow you will be given a chance to fight for your lives. If you win, you will be granted your freedom. though, of course, your memories of Bounty Island will have been erased. The next morning you find yourselves confined in the cellar beneath the Omicron Stadium. Above you, you can hear crowd noises. The stadium is filling up. A little later, a young guard enters and hands each of you a long sword. He also gives you short, leather-belted tunics to wear. Page 105. I doubt that the swords will do any good, the guard says sympathetically, but there is still a little hope for you. The creature is vulnerable in only one place. Go for its throat. You may be able to choke it. Then the guard leads you out into the stadium. The grandstands are filled with Omicron masters and Omicron slaves. The crowd roars as you and Viktorov step into the center of the arena. You think the cheers are for you, but then you look across the arena and see, incredibly, a dinosaur, a Tyrannosaurus Rex. The monster roars and lunges towards you, its great, tooth-filled head swaying from side to side. You grip the handle of your sword. Let's spread out, you tell Viktorov. The monster lumbers forward. At least it is not agile. The cheers grow even louder, and the great beast, seeming to sense the cheers are for it, gives a blood-curdling roar in response. I will distract it, Viktorov says. You try to use your sword as a javelin. Into the throat. And here they are, you and Viktorov. Viktorov looks a lot different now. There's the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yeah, kids love dinosaurs, especially when they get to stab them in the throat. Yeah, Viktorov can be a distraction and get eaten, and then you can escape. Sounds like a plan. Suddenly, the Tyrannosaur makes a dash at you, but you manage to leap to the side, and the animal blunders by. Then its beady red eyes catch sight of Viktorov, a larger, tastier, slower morsel than you are. The Tyrannosaur heads for Viktorov while you wait off to one side. It lowers its head to make the strike, but Viktorov, surprisingly nimble, swerves aside just in front of you. When the Tyrannosaur makes its own slower turn, you're there with your sword. You hurl it into the monster's red maw. It's in, and deep. The monster screams in pain, then stumbles and collapses onto the sand of the arena, with blood gurgling out of its throat. There's a sudden silence in the stadium. Then the cheers resume, and this time they're for you and Viktorov. You look at the spectators, and they are all on their feet. Their hands, with thumbs up, are raised high above their heads. A week after that, you're safely back home. For some strange reason, you sometimes dream at night about fighting dinosaurs. But when anybody asks about a man called Bill Sutherland, you can remember nothing. Yeah, surprisingly nimble for a guy with a flabby face. Yeah, you didn't really get put in much control in this one. Yeah, so that's the end of that. I mean, that's not a bad ending. We just had so they said like our memories would be wiped after we left the island. So we won against the dinosaur, so we had our memories wiped. So we don't even remember being on the island. I wonder if we want to risk reading any more of this. Didn't really seem like there were a lot of decisions that we could make. I wonder what would have happened if we'd stayed with Bill. Kill Bill. Yeah, Bill's dead. Yeah, I'm sure Bill is dead now. Should we have stayed with Bill? Where is that? Page 3, page 5, page 12. We reached the shore. Stay with Bill. Yeah, let's stay with Bill and see what happens. 87. Okay, here we are. Alright, so we had our choice whether to stay with Bill or decide to work with Viktorov. Alright, so maybe we'll say that we stayed with Bill. We'll fight random 17-year-olds who stumble onto the island. That does sound like fun. Okay. You'll have to go without me, you tell Viktorov. I'm not leaving Bill. Viktorov shuffles away and climbs back up the chimney. Bill falls into a deep sleep even before Viktorov says goodbye. It's mid-afternoon before Bill stirs and opens his eyes. "How's it going, old buddy?" he says weakly. "I'm fine," you say. "But what about you?" "Still breathing." "And the old heart's still beating?" "Did Viktorov leave?" "Yes." "Good. I don't trust him. I'm glad you stayed." "So what can we do now?" you say. "You're definitely out of action for a while." "Yeah, I know." "That means the Omicron mission is up to you. I'm sorry, but we have no choice. Can you handle it?" You nod slowly, not sure that you can. "I'll try." "You'll do fine," he says. "What you have to do is go look around the Omicron base and find out what we're up against. We know very little about the Omicron leaders, especially about this man Marcus. Find out what you can about him and the others, and try to discover their plans and weaknesses. Do you think you can do that?" Once again, you nod your head slowly. "This I know for sure. The Omicron masters are overconfident, believe they are totally secure here on the island. They may be right about that, but if they are wrong, then we have a little hope. Meanwhile, take a look at this map of Bounty Island." Turn to page 7. The mission's up to you, 7-year-old kid. You can do it. It's all up to you, 12-year-old. Oh, we're at page 7. Oh, here we are. Here we are studying the map. Be warned, this island is in danger grade Z. Okay, I guess that's bad. Yeah. After you've studied the map, Bill insists you begin your search. You and Bill give each other a hug for courage, and then you climb up the chimney. When you reach the surface, you find yourself in a rocky wasteland. You head east, and soon you are in the tropical rainforest that covers most of the island. The map shows a faint path that should lead you to the Omicron base. You search for the path, and before long you find it. Unfortunately, you also discover that the path is patrolled. A pair of helmeted Omicron slaves is coming up the path towards you, and smashing through the jungle behind them is something you never thought you'd find outside the pages of a book. Half a dozen tigers. Not the usual kind, which would be bad enough, but the saber-toothed kind, the kind that are supposed to be extinct. Neither the slaves nor the monstrous companions appear to have seen you. You wonder if you can hide until they go away, but maybe it would be safer to make a quiet dash for it. If you decide to hide, turn to page 97. If it seems like a better idea to run away from tigers, turn to page 20. Heading right for the danger zone. That's right. They're not regular tigers. They're saber-toothed tigers, apparently. Yes. I think we probably do have to hide. Okay, so we are gonna hide. Not running. We can't run from tigers. Page 97. You scramble under a large, leafy bush, hoping you are safely hidden. The guards and their tigers are prowling closer and closer along the path. They are certainly after somebody, but you can't believe that they know about you. Then they are past. Just to be on the safe side, you wait for over 20 minutes before you set off again. Then you begin your hike through the jungle once more. Suddenly, something grabs your ankle. You look down to see what it is, but before you manage that, you are jerked 20 feet into the air. You hang upside down, twisting and turning, feeling a bit queasy in the middle. As you try to bend up to reach whatever it is, a rope, that has caught you, you hear a very British voice. "Oh my, that won't be necessary. I'll just let you down. You're not the one I expected." You scan the bushes, but the person speaking has chosen not to be seen. The ground comes up slowly to meet you. When you are safely on solid earth once more, you quickly loosen the noose that binds your ankle and slip your foot free. A little brown man jumps down from the leaves that were concealing him. "Hello there," he says, smiling. "This is indeed unexpected, but you're a welcome sight. My name is Floyd. Okay. I'm sorry for a little adventure in the air, but as I said, I thought you would be someone else, someone distinctly unpleasant." "Hello," you say, holding out your hand. You tell him your name. Then, curious, you ask, "Whom were you expecting?" And the fact that they refer to him, they describe him as a little brown man. Yeah, that just happened. "I was expecting someone in a helmet," Floyd says. "If I capture a slave, I can remove the helmet. I then fix the circuitry inside in a way that permanently frees the wearer and allows him to join a group of rebel slaves who are now waiting for the moment to revolt against Omicron. But come, I'll wager that you could eat a little something. Come home with me, and I'll teach you a little bit more about the Omicron masters. You can tell me how you came to be here." You realize how hungry you are. "Okay," you say, "that sounds great." "Follow me," Floyd says, or Floyd, "and be careful. The Omicron masters have this place very well organized, so I would step very, very quickly. In fact, it's best not to talk." Yeah, everyone we meet, they want to feed us. Everyone wants to give us snacks. I guess it is pronounced the same way as Floyd, just maybe Floyd. Okay. The two of you pick your way stealthily through the dense jungle. You figure you've gone about 7 or 8 miles when Floyd raises his hand. "All right," he says. "Here we are. Follow me." He leaps, catches the low branch of a huge towering tree, and pulls himself up. You do the same. Then he points to a series of notches carved into the trunk of the tree. The notches are, in fact, Floyd's ladder. They are so cleverly carved that you would never have known they were there unless he had pointed them out to you. You climb up after him. More than 150 feet above the ground, hidden in the tree's vast leafy canopy, Floyd has built a treehouse. Not just a single-room cottage, but a mansion of several rooms, each on its own branch and each connected to the others by ladders or walkways. "This is really nice," you say, when he leads you inside his living room. "Yes, isn't it?" Floyd says. "It is completely hidden from both above and below. The Omicron masters would, of course, love to find me, and oh my, how hard they have tried." You look around. There are fluffy, comfortable pillows, a few books, and even a cassette deck with Kenny Rogers and Waylon Jennings cassettes scattered next to it. That's how you know this guy's okay. He's not gonna do you wrong. Turn to page 120. He's got Kenny Rogers cassettes, so you know he's okay. Page 120. I love you, gambler. Floyd, seeing you look at the cassette deck, says sadly, "Oh my, would you like to listen to some Waylon or Kenny? I certainly would. Unhappily, the batteries have died, and I have been unable to obtain new ones. But here, I'm sure you must be starving. Let me find you some food." He scampers up a ladder into the next room, and returns in a few minutes bearing a tray loaded with papayas, coconuts, and some cold rice. "Tell me," you ask, "where did you get your English accent?" "The explanation is really quite simple," Floyd says. "I was educated by English missionaries. I love the old couple from Oxford. Too bad about them." "What happened?" "They were snatched away by a raiding party from another island, a nasty, nasty bunch. I fear that my friends were turned into missionary stew. But enough sadness. Tell me about yourself and how you came here." Okay, go on to the next page. After you give him your story, including the part about Bill's injuries, he turns towards the window and sinks into deep thought. A few moments later, his attention returns to you. "All right," he says. "This is how it is. As I mentioned earlier, I have a plan to organize the freed slaves into a revolt. Now that you have dropped in, it might be a good moment to put it in action. If it works, we could do the Omicron Masters great damage. On the other hand, if your friend is in as much danger as you say he is, you may prefer to take him and yourself to safety. To be perfectly honest, if I were you, that's what I would do. Then why do you stay here? I despise the Omicron Masters, he says with heat in his voice. They murdered all my people, my mother, my father, my friends. I am the last of the true owners of this island. If you try to escape with Bill, turn to page 57. If you decide to help Floyd carry out his plan, turn to page 119. The fuck out. Yeah, that might be a good idea. Yeah, my family, they were all killed, but let's be happy. It's fine. It's time to laugh again. Let's not dwell on sad stuff. Well, they were his adopted parents, I guess, so that's why he can refer to them as Stu, maybe. Leave with Bill? Leave with anyone, really? Well, let's try to escape. So we'll try to escape with Bill. Page 57. Since, among other good reasons, you'd rather be a live hero than a potentially dead one, you decide that you would prefer to escape with Bill from Bounty Island and leave its fate to others. I quite understand your desire to go, Floyd tells you. This is a perfectly frightful place, even more frightful than you can imagine. I would leave myself were I not bound to the place by my oath to avenge my people. Floyd leads you to where he keeps his boat. The boat is an outrigger sailing canoe, and is hidden in one of the hundreds of caves that pierce the volcanic cliffs on the west side of the island. He has also hidden stores of food and drink buried in metal boxes and casks. Of course, I wouldn't hear of you trying to sail by my boat by yourself, Floyd says. I'll go with you and Bill. In fact, I'll take you to New Guinea. I'll want my boat back, and besides, I need batteries for my cassette deck. The two of you paddle through the lagoon to the cave where Bill Sutherland has been hiding. Right now he is sitting on a lava ledge with a makeshift fishing line hanging down into the water. Clearly he is a lot healthier than when you last saw him. Hi there, good buddy, he calls out cheerfully. Am I glad to see you? And you've brought a friend. At least, I hope he's a friend. Hi, Bill, you say. Definitely a friend. This is Floyd, and he is going to take us to New Guinea. Yeah, he first he was going to stay, and he had to avenge his people. But I was like, yeah, I'll go with you guys. That's cool. Page 109. New Guinea, Bill laughs. And just when I was beginning to enjoy bounty. Floyd, who doesn't catch Bill's joke, looks puzzled. But Bill keeps talking. It is quite clear that he is very eager and happy to get away from the place. So when do we start? Right away, if you'd like, Floyd replies. Oh, and that's the air that just came on, if anyone can hear that. Right away, if you'd like, Floyd replies. Then let's blast off. In minutes, you have Bill safely aboard and are paddling towards the reef. Once you are beyond the reef, Floyd raises the sail. And the next day, you are safely in New Guinea. The first thing that you and Bill do is buy Floyd enough batteries to last him a year. A few weeks after you arrive back home, Bill, now completely recovered, shows up and tells you that a division of American Green Berets has invaded Bounty Island and overwhelmed the Omicron Masters. Did they find Floyd, you ask? Is he safe? I'm afraid there was no trace of Floyd, Bill says quietly. What the troops found were horrors beyond any of our imagining. What kind of horrors, you ask, remembering the saber-toothed tigers? Sorry, old buddy, I'm not allowed. You're disappointed. On the other hand, you're certain that Floyd is at this very moment sitting on a cushion in his mansion at the top of the tree and listening to Waylon Jennings on his cassette. The end. Okay, at the very end, the smooth tones of Kenny Rogers float through the air. Yeah, you could. I mean, they've got acid in them, right? So you could use them as a weapon. Or, like, throw them at people. Alright, well, normally I'd maybe keep reading and find some other endings, but I think with this book I'm going to stop here. We escaped relatively unscathed from anything too crazy. Chuck batteries at Santa in a Philly stadium? Did they? I don't remember that. Maybe they did. Yeah, we're disappointed that we didn't hear about the carnage and the cannibalism. It's too bad we didn't get to that part. Yeah, we never met the Kabuki vampire. It's too bad. I do think stopping here is the best choice that we can make. Like, we didn't get to anything too crazy, too problematic. So yeah, I'm just fine with stopping here. We got to like 2 relatively good endings. I mean, we didn't get killed. Yeah, and I picked this book out because all the other books are packed away, so can't get to them right now. Yeah, we didn't meet the girl. We didn't meet the Kabuki vampire. Yeah, we didn't meet any of those people. So, but that's all right. Probably next week I'll be back to read a book that's be a much better experience. Yeah. Even if we don't move before Tuesday, then I'll just have to open up one of the boxes and find a Choose Your Own Adventure book that we'll all be happy with. So, yeah. So, anyways, I guess I'm going to stop here, and I thank you all for watching. Take care.